Welcome to day number 1. Before we jump into today's episode about how to draw an arrow, I would like to give you my background story, what visualization has done to my career and life. The thing is, before I started visualization, like hand-drawn visualization you see here, I've used a lot of PowerPoint slide decks. And the slide decks had often a lot of text. And people almost fell asleep. So the thing is, drawing live, where people can listen to you when you move the pen and listen and see how this story evolves and develops further. They are on your lips. They listen to you very carefully. And this was a great feeling when you have done this by PowerPoint pretty much before. Right. So this is a thing. You learn here drawing, but the thing much bigger than this is you have a leadership skill under your belt. You can explain ideas in words and pictures, and that's a key thing that you have for your whole life after working with us. The second thing that happened also to me is like when I saw for the first time how visual collaboration can play out its power. Visual collaboration in this means I tell you what I mean. So when we have an idea, like you sit opposite the table right now with your laptop and I have an idea and we bounce ideas against each other and we have no visual representation. The thing that happens is those ideas clash by energy wise in the room against each other. That really is like a bang. And this is not smart. When you have the same conversation, let's say you have the idea that visual friends offer training and coaching and you don't like the idea that we do coaching because you don't understand what it is. But training you get and you really like the idea of the training part. Then you tell me, okay, coaching I don't get, I don't mind. The thing is, now we talk against an artifact. We talk against a visual representation that is in the room. It can be Post-its, but a nice drawing, of course, is also much nicer. You bounce the idea here and I get the feedback back. Well, it's a bit like playing ping pong. Bing, 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 bing. So this is not so much personal anymore. It is about this information on the wall. It might be my idea that coaching is a good idea, but it might be not, right? So we can just play ping pong with ideas. And this is the beginning of a very different way of working together. Before we worked against each other, now we stand shoulder to shoulder looking at an idea and drawing and talking with each other. If you have whiteboards in your office, you probably know what I mean, right? Like talking and creating ideas together. This is what Visual Friends stand for and what I would like to pass on to you as well. All right, enough of talking by myself. Please enjoy now lesson number 1 about how to draw an arrow. All right, guys, welcome to this first video. And in this first video, we have a look at how to draw an arrow. An arrow, it stands for direction or guidance, but of course it can stand for many things. If you add a word to the arrow, it means maybe step 1 or something you would like to load this up. So there's a rule in it. A picture with words creates this information. So always have a picture like this arrow here and then load it up with information. We write a little text in this arrow now, and I show you how to do this. And we use the text step 1 as a simple step 1. And maybe then on the other side, we could have a bit more text saying what the steps are include. However, it's about the drawing in the first step, and those arrows here, as you can see, we could turn this in a direction, right? But it stands on this pole here. So when it turns into the background, let's say here on the page up, it needs to change its shape. And to teach you that little lesson, I'm looking forward to now do a little how to draw an arrow into the background story here. And the first thing we do is we have a look at our material. Here we have 3 markers, and one thing that I suggest you have as well is a pencil, just to draw guidelines and those things that we do in a second. Also, please get a pencil ready. And the other thing is a simple felt pen will do the job. Like here, this is from Neuland. It's a good one. It's an outliner pen, but it's a bit old, but it's a round nib here on the top. And yeah, it's pure black. So any felt pen will do the job. That's a bit thicker. You can practice with that, and you don't need so much paper. the last one, if you work on big scale, let's say flip chart and beyond, it's good to have a thicker pen, because the people probably watch it from several meters distance. And as you can see here in the recording, I turn it a bit and you can see it. It's a chisel tip and it's around 4 millimeters wide. Like here it says 2 to 6 millimeter. 2 is when you use it this way and 6 when you use it this way, but I think it's 4 millimeters. That's how I use it always. And because it's very fresh one, it will be 4 millimeter wide. All right, so by the way, like if you have this pen here only and a pencil, that's fine for now. Those pens you get in a training with us. For now, any pen will do, and a pencil. Okay, so let's get started. And the first thing I would like to do with you is have a think about which direction the arrow should have. Let's use this pencil as an example. So maybe we can turn it any way around. We could come to the foreground or to the background. And I decide here the arrow goes around this direction, into the slightly upwards into the background. So what I do first is I create a little guideline here that points out where the direction of that is. You can't really see it, by the way, but it's here. And what I'm doing now, I'm writing on it the words that I would like to have. And the words I would like to have first, as I said, it's step 1 is my text. So let's get started. You might notice I'm pressing quite hard. It gives you more control when you press harder. And those pens here, they definitely, they're a German good brand. They really cope with the pressure. And so don't be too kind to your pens. If you have a very cheap one, probably it breaks. But if you have a good pen, pressing hard gives you a bit more control. It doesn't mean you should press it breaks, but more pressure gives you a more stable line. And don't be stiff in your hand. It's more like vertical pressure to the paper. All right, then we come to a very important step. And this is like this text here needs some breathing space around. And we put an arrow around this. So if we think about it, we need to give them a bit of white space here. And the first dot we set is basically logging in the white space. So let's have a look. I give it this much white space here. And because it should be nicely round, the same margin around this word, I need to repeat this up here, vertical. So it's in balance to the surface, vertical, around roughly here. And then I would say over the 1 year will do a good job, and underneath here as well. You might notice that I'm not going like here, 45 degrees away from it. I'm underneath here because we go with the tip in the front here. So it can be underneath of the text. The text can be a bit into the tip. All right, so finish this off. I draw a line. And as you can see here, it doesn't really fit, but don't try to match it. We pull out the wings in a second anyway, so we can fix that one. Or do those dots with a pencil, then you can erase that. Maybe we should do that next time. One thing more I would like to point out now, as we have it so far here. All those lines are in balance, vertical. Even the letters are vertical. This one could be more vertical. They are parallel to each other in balance, vertical to the surface. Even those wings here of the arrow are vertical. And that's a very important thing to know. All right, but what's about the tip now? Somewhere here needs to be a tip, right? If we have those wings the same length, they need to be the same length here. But where is the tip of that? And for that, Younito has a little step here for you. You split this here in half, and you draw another guideline parallel to the other guidelines as well as to the top or bottom line. Let me do that. And you see here, this is not the middle as you would expect, right? So when you have that, we need to find a dot. We could have a very short arrow or a bit longer one. Let's go here, and we put the dot here. And now we just finish it off from the outside of those wings to the dot, and then another one from here down to the end of the tip. That will do. And now you have the arrow on the paper. And just keep in mind, this here is not a 90-degree angle, and this here is not the same. So with this guideline here, it helps you to find this spot very easily. And it doesn't really matter where you go, left or right. The tip will be just shorter or more pointy, longer. All right, last thing I would like to do when you look at the Younito icon here is you have some legs underneath. A pole that this stands on, and yeah, let me do the same thing. This is here. It's a bit in the way, the P, but I think we can just pretend there's nothing in the way. We just have a pole here and then lock it into the ground, as you can see here, and then it comes out of the top here, and we have another circle, ellipse circle roughly here. So around those white space gaps, leave them. Don't try to fix something or go too close. Your eyes are actually very good in filling those gaps. So there is no problem when you have those gaps here between overlappings. All right. So with that, I would think we have everything we need for changing an arrow. You learned how to basically point it in any direction. We could have done the first guideline this way and everything would flow down. Maybe do a couple of those with different directions. And yeah, that's pretty much what I'd like to say. What I will do now for you is you could color it in if you like here. And maybe let me quickly recap what we have. Here, don't run away, arrow. So, as I said, we started with a guideline first. I wrote the text second. And when the text is here, the first thing, and it's vertical, the text is vertical on that line, like a stepladder. It goes up, but it's vertical and it just is a bit higher. And now we found the point of margin here. The point of margin here is where we locked in the white space, this space here. And because it should be all the way around the same, we need to point here, vertical, look for the point up here, roughly the same space. Then go to the other side underneath of the end of the text and have the same margin here and find the dot here. And we do the same on the top here and set the dot here. This is 80% of the arrow. Now we pull out the wings vertical, how long you like, that's really up to you. And now the next thing is that we need to find the Younito middle line here of this arrow. Draw another guideline and then you decide where it should be and you finish it off. That's the shape of the arrow pointing into the background. Last thing but not least, you could have a pole and you need to make sure that this is in line here with that so that it looks like it fits together. And then when you like, you can color it however you like, let's say this way. All right, thank you very much for your time and practicing together with me how to draw an arrow. Tomorrow we have a look at how to write very neat and readable. So writing comes tomorrow. I say thank you and goodbye for today. You Marcel of the Visual Friends. Bye.